Alright guys, so in this video we're checking out the Tinyhawk-II Freestyle from EMAX, and based on what we've seen in the rest of the Tinyhawk-II series, in the Tinyhawk-II race and the original Tinyhawk-II, you can see that they've made all the same improvements in this series over the original Tinyhawk-I series, and mainly that being the power switchable video transmitter 25 to 200 milliwatts. This now has that as well as better video reception, and the Runcam Nano 2 camera. So better camera, better VTX. That was the primary complaints from the original Tinyhawk series, and of course they've added those to the Tinyhawk-II Freestyle, just like they did to the original Tinyhawk-II and the Tinyhawk-II race. So again, this is a beginner-oriented micro, so everything else is pretty much the same. I think it's the same motors, 1103 7000 kV. This runs on 1S or 2S. It is basically for 2S and has a 2S plug here using the same 1S 450 milliamp hour LiPos that you run in series here for 2S, and that's pretty much the same as before. So you do get the same case as before here, and this one comes with the red Avon 2.5-inch props. I actually have the same black ones on here that were on the first Tinyhawk Freestyle. Just moved them over, but just letting you guys know that yours are going to be red, not black, and you only get 2 batteries in the case, and you do get the same charger as well. So instead of instructions, they have this card in here, and I think you're supposed to use this QR code to get the PDF file for the instructions. And this says here, online resources, user manual, CLI dumps, etc. can be found on the website. So just follow the QR code and or go to this website for further instructions. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit different in weight compared to the original because it's got the Runcam 2 Nano and a different frame. So we're at 54.5 grams, and then with the 2 1S LiPos we're coming in at just about 80.5 grams total. So just taking a closer look at the frame itself, obviously the biggest difference here is going to be in the front where the camera is. You got a camera mount. There were a lot of third-party like 3D printed solutions for the Tinyhawk Freestyle 1 to add a Runcam Nano 2, so that's why they naturally have added this on the version 2. And of course you've got the new all-in-one flight controller ESC board again here, but this time the video transmitter board is 25 and 200 milliwatts power switchable, and it is locked from the factory, so certain frequencies are not available. To unlock it, you just press the button that's on the video transmitter, the channel control button, while you're turning it on. While you're powering it on, hold that button down for like about a second, and then it should unlock, and then you should have all the frequencies available to you. The receiver is again on board. It's an SPI receiver. You can have it in D8 mode or D16 mode. I recommend D8 mode if you're having issues with D16. And the rest of the frame is just basically cosmetically a little bit different. Basically a different paint job, as you can see here. The white paint there, and actually no paint in the back, and same on the bottom. But as far as I can tell, it looks pretty much the same with the exception of the front and the weight difference. So out of the box it comes with some beginner rates. As I said, this is really geared towards beginners or first timers, so the rates are very kind of docile, and I'll show you that in one of the flight demos. I flew the standard rates on here. It's very controllable. It should be very controllable for a beginner because it doesn't overreact as much. The pin tune on here is spot on, of course, as always from EMAX, so really no surprises there. And then the later flights I will show you the rates I normally fly. I like to do, if you want to do more acro and stuff like that, you're going to need more rates than what's currently built in out of the box. I think it's pretty low. If you're trying to do like a full roll, it's going to be really slow. So if you want to do that with the rates that are built in here, you got to get up really high before you do something like that. Anyway, so in terms of performance, I think that in terms of freestyle, this is pretty decent with a top-mounted battery. Obviously, if you're looking for a different feel for freestyle, this is going to give you a lot of top-end power with the 2.5-inch prop over, say, the the 2-inch prop on the race. Again, you know, this is not all, these are not the fastest drones out there. There's plenty of other stuff out there that's a lot faster, but you know, if you're looking to get started, these three here are going to be sort of your progression level in the Tinyhawk-II series. You'll probably start off with something like this one here as a whoop indoors, pretty controllable. I recommend flying that on 1S, and yeah, you know, you're gonna crash, and you're probably not gonna break too much stuff, and it's gonna be a good time with that one. And then when I move up to something like the Tinyhawk-II race, it's gonna be a little faster. You can fly this outdoors, and then if you want to move up to Freestyle and a little bit more power, a little bit more agility, then the Tinyhawk-II Freestyle is going to be the way to go. So that pretty much is the conclusion of the Tinyhawk-II series. If you're a beginner, I would recommend getting this and maybe mating this up with like a jumper, T12 radio, something sort of budget level that can run FreeSky D8 or D16, maybe the Beta FPV, LiteRadio2. I'll link those two down below as well. And then, of course, when it comes to goggles, there's a large number out there. Of course, the ones from EMAX, called the Transporters. I'll link those down below as well. That's a good goggle to get if you're a beginner and you want to get this and sort of put them together as a ready to fly. If you get the ready to fly for the Tinyhawk-II, that'll come with the Transporter goggles. But if you're going to move up to these two guys here for outdoor flying, I would recommend upgrading the transmitter to something like the jumper or the LiteRadio2. I'll link all that stuff down in the description. Here is the flight demos, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Alright, it's pretty windy right now, but it's handling it all right. I'm flying the stock rates right now. It's pretty docile, but you see it's got some speed. But you get a bit of voltage sag. If you're trying to do some like low flying to the ground, it's a little bit unresponsive. But I think you guys can probably tell the video is much better now. This version, VTX, versus the Freestyle 1, the first one. Alright, let me switch the rates into my normal rates here. See if I can do some acro. Yeah, these are my normal rates. The rates that come on the Tinyhawk-II Freestyle are for beginners. They're kind of dumbed down a little bit so that they're not as responsive. A lot of expo and low rates. This is a little bit more what I'm used to, a little bit more reactive. But obviously the same PID tune, it's tuned out of the factory. But it's got some pretty good speed. I got a fairly decent amount of wind, and it's able to slice through it no problem. Actually, I'm pretty impressed how fast it actually is, considering how windy it is, how light this is, and the fact it's only 2S. Yeah, it's really windy. And this thing's quiet too. I'm pretty sure you guys are probably not going to be able to hear this at the distance that it's out there. Bring it closer. If I bring it here, you can hear it. And we're already at 7 volts at about 2.5 minutes. What these batteries are, I'm using some older EMAX batteries here in this flight. I had used the brand new ones on some earlier flights. The flights were longer. Low battery warnings, but I'm going to keep on going here until the low battery warning is set pretty low. .7. mean, it's got some pretty respectable speed for what it is, and considering how windy it is. Alright, 6.5 volts here, 3.5 minutes. You can probably get 4 minutes with with a brand new set of batteries. That's the full throttle punch out at the very end of the battery. That pretty much killed it there. Yeah. All right. So there's a lawnmower behind me. It might be a little bit noisy. And since this thing is so quiet, you might not be able to hear it so well. But I'll try and fly it closer. Yeah, this tune on here is really spot on. As typical EMAX, they've done a great job in tuning. It's a bit windy up higher. It's a little bit calmer down low, so I'm going to keep it low. Kind of keep it just above the trees, it's fine. It moves, it covers some ground really quickly on 2S. It's pretty impressive. Lighting conditions aren't so great right now. It's early in the morning right now, but I can see fine. A little bit of a shudder there on the hard turn. So if you want to practice freestyle with us, as the name implies, no problems. Seems to do that really well. And this VTX is much improved over the original, of course, on the whole Tinyhawk-II series. Not as much breakup as before. Oh, there's some people over there. This is quiet, but you never know who might get annoyed. Below 7 volts now, so I can feel the voltage sag. Can still fly totally fine. Straight lines here. It's really moving, even at under 7 volts. Let's see here. hanging in there. 4 minutes, pretty good flying. Oh, 6.5 volts, 4.5 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and land it here. What do you guys think?